That's James's deck dinner, and that's Angel's deck dinner.
Here's Angel.
And James is going to talk about Salminio and the Jean Krupa story while he eats his food, while I feed Angel hers.
Stay there, Angel. Don't dive over there.
James is taking care of Angel because she can't see.
Yeah.
She can certainly smell.
Yeah.
She knows what's here.
Yeah, she was getting really excited. I was a little afraid she was going to...
From Whoop Up Days. It's Angel's Whoop Up dinner.
Yeah, I was offered free, I think, presumably by the city of Lethbridge. Were you saying they ran out last year or something?
That's what...
Oh, that's what somebody
told me.
He hammered out the savage tempo of the jazz era. Is it Salminio or Salmineo?
I don't know.
I always thought it was Minio, but I don't know. Sounds like an Italian name. He was in Rebel Without a Cause. And this stars James Darren in here. I always thought he was handsome, when I was a kid.
Did you?
I suspect
Was he handsome?
Well, I suspect he is. Preternaturally small ears. That's what makes him preternaturally handsome.
Because you have small ears.
Well, I'm totally objective about it, don't you? Anyway, yeah, very small ears. Anyway, I'm not sure when this is done. I tried to read it.
Well, it says the date is there, but it's very tiny. Do you want me to try to do it?
No, don't worry.
I will try.
I'm going to guess 1960.
59.
Awesome. So, it's 5 years old when that happened. Anyway, did I tell the people how my encounter
you didn't.
with
better.
So back in, I believe it was 65, I attended the Calgary Stampede. I might have attended it every year I was in Calgary.
Well, a lot of people do.
Only 3 years there, from 64 to 67. And come to think of it, we would have got there too late for us to attend it in 64. Because we would have been traveling in the summertime. The Calgary Stampede seems to be the second week in July. I think it was then. Way back then. Back in the previous century. Almost 50 years ago. 60 years ago. Anyway, when we went in 65, and that might have been the first Stampede I went to. I think it was 65. I think it was Herman's Hermits were on the bill. I was really thrilled. That's when I used to like them. I liked their version of Sam Cooke's What a Wonderful World It Would Be. And then I realized it was the song, not the singer. The Rolling Stones once sang a song, and they might have written it too. It's the singer, not the song. Well, that doesn't apply to the Rolling Stones. If it did, they'd be a pretty clunky band. Because what is happening there?
I don't know. That hawk has been squealing like crazy.
Oh, it's a hawk? Okay.
What he's talking about.
He's probably craving this burger, and if he can't get the burger, he'd settle for Angel.
He'd settle for Angel.
Some spare ribs. Anyway, I noticed yesterday they were touring the neighborhood, just doing it their inimitable fashion. They're kind of like cops on patrol. Cops, you can kind of tell their vehicles at night, even if you can't see that well, because they tend to go kind of creep around slowly, a creepy kind of way. Anyway, 65. Hermits are on the bill, and they seem to handle it like they used to handle Ed Sullivan. They'd always say the rock groups, or rock and roll groups, I think they used to call it back then. Till the last.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, that's what people really wanted to see.
Well,
at
it's
least the
what
kids.
the kids want to see, and they want to be up late at night. The old people would want to see the country, and they don't want to be up late at night. What's going on about? All day.
Anyway, on the bill was either Gene Krupa or Buddy Rich. And those were the two big jazz drummers back then, probably even now. I think it was Buddy Rich, but it would apply to Gene Krupa. Anyway, I can remember did he come out like it? It seemed like a velour, like a red velour jacket or something like that. Anyway, we spent all his show.
You don't want it?
It wasn't very long, but we spent all the show booing lustily. And now I'm kind of, I won't say ashamed, but embarrassed because, all the Herman's
Well, you
Hermits
didn't want it. I put it away.
didn't have 1/10 of this drummer's talent.
There we go.
Excuse me for sneezing on camera.
I'm gonna go give this to the others that are probably
Okay.
peeing up my house like crazy
doing
right
an
now.
HB because they were
Very angry about
they were
Angel.
whimpering in kind of semi-angry fashion. They realized Angel was coming out here with what they would be thinking as their burger and cheese as well, cheeseburger. Anyway, like I'm not a big fan of jazz. I wasn't back then. I'm more of a fan now. At least I got some respect. I really don't love the genre or anything like that. I never, I'm kind of glad I was given the upbringing I was. I was raised in a Protestant church, very Protestant, more Baptist, I'd say, than Baptist. And we were raised on lots of different verses of the Bible. There was one particular one that distinguished them from other people it's called the Church of Christ. So there are many different versions of the Church of Christ. And one is, they have instrumental music. The one I was raised on didn't. The verse they went with is, sing and make melody in your hearts, something like that. I think that's the King James version of the verse, or partial verse. And of course, they were kind of overlooking the fact that the Psalms, many of them, I think, it's specified they're written for accompaniment. And then I believe Miriam, who sang the Song of the Sea, presumably composed it on the spot. Not on the sea, but by the Sea of Passages, it's called. I think she was supposed to have accompanied herself with some sort of instrument. I believe it was a percussion instrument or something, or what they figure is a percussion instrument. Anyway, of course, like the people, they sing and make melody in your hearts is in the New Testament, and Miriam and David and other songwriters. Well, Old Testament. And the Christians, the Protestants, most of them get it right. They say, oh, it's a new dispensation and stuff like that. And that old stuff is left behind. No kidding, like circumcision was left behind. And, leaving that behind is an improvement. Kosher restrictions were left behind. I think Peter is the Roman Catholic style, and others, I think the Anglicans do, St. Peter, he got a vision, where meat was kind of came down from heaven, or whatever, and he was told to eat, and he didn't want to, but I think the story goes something like, the voice said, what the Lord has declared clean is clean or whatever. So, that was an improvement. There were all sorts of improvements when it came to so-called new dispensation. Christianity is and you're talking to an agnostic here, is a huge step up on the Judaism of 2,000 years ago. Judaism, to a large extent, since it lost its land, it had to kind of accept separation of church and state. And on the whole, it's turned out to be far better than Christianity. Christianity took a major hit when Constantine started to have various councils and stuff like that in Nicaea, so on and so forth, where they determined what was orthodoxy and what was heretical. And the one in Nicaea wasn't the only one. There was at least one other, maybe a few more. And then it got even worse. About 100 years later, that was around 300 AD, about 400 AD. It became kind of like the official church, and it became officially persecuting and all this sort of stuff. Whereas Judaism became more and more civilized, all that sort of stuff. To the point now where it's one of the best religions in the world. On average, there are fundamentalist Jews that are problems for themselves, other Jews, and not so much for members of other religions and so on and so forth. There are fundamentalists from Protestantism, from Islam. The vast percentage of Muslims are fundamentalists. Let's not kid ourselves. Oh, go ahead. I'm assuming that anyone watching Pauline's podcast is actually civilized, but just in case you aren't, and going around kidding yourself. If you want to, that's okay. Just don't go around kidding other people. That every religion has peace, love, and flower. Read a little history, more importantly, read a little theology and stuff like that. Better yet, be like me and read a whole lot of it. And please, please, please try to get it so you can control the sources. Because I'm sick and tired of you idiots not being able to control the sources. I understand. Once I get to the point where I control the sources, I let the sources control me. In other words, I don't go making spit up. Well, Karen Armstrong. She's invented a whole new religion, and the Baha'i folks should sue her because she's going around saying, "Wow, every religion's about peace, love, and flowers." At least the Baha'is. Do
you want this crispy
every
rice
religion
for dessert?
should be about peace, love, and flowers. But
Treat from the library. Did you want it?
Sure, exactly right.
That was yesterday's or something.
So, newsflash for Karen Armstrong. What you say about Islam is when the Baha'i said, it's blasphemy. Okay, you stupid idiot.
Okay, so the Jane Krupa story.
Yeah.
It. I should mention that it's in black and white. If you don't
like
watching black and white movies, then you might not like it.
I always figured drums were black and white. Did you ever get that impression? They were just like on, off, black, white. They're
That's
like so. It's I just realizing it now. Like it's appropriate in this situation. So of course.
You have some of the soup right here.
What?
Yeah, you do. It's okay. Nobody will be able to see it from there.
Well, folks, there you go. The soup was that good. I just, I'm still enjoying it. But at any rate, I see other instruments as having color.
Okay.
Because to me, color is like frequency. Well, drums really don't have a fixed frequency. See how that is?
Okay.
So there's kind of like a spectrum of frequencies
Okay.
for sound. And it kind of starts deep. That might be red.
They're right here. I'm going to look. You keep talking.
Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued too.
I know.
I'm wondering,
Right up in the...
are they fighting?
I'm
Or
going to show you. I'm going to take the camera
Yeah.
and I'm going to show you where they are because they've been doing this all day. And watch, they'll leave now that I'm...
I'm betting one of their kids is having a trouble or something like that.
Okay, I'm going to try to get it so that you're not looking right at the sun. They're up there, right up at the top.
Are they in the pine tree? Or
You can see a tail up there if you look.
It's a spruce tree. Are they in the spruce tree?
Yep, they're in that spruce, right up at the top, screaming away. I don't know.
See, like there's a magpie.
No,
hanging
there's.
away.
Okay, come to where I am.
The sun's kind
So
of.
you can see a great big tail up near the top.
I can see something up there. Yeah.
There's two of them right there.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what they're doing.
I'm figuring one of their kids is in trouble, eh?
I don't know, but they've been doing this all day. Just scream. I don't know what it's all about. Anyway, that's where they are, up in that tree. So James is going to continue to talk now about the Gene Krupa story with the screaming hawks in the background.
I think they're trying to keep the magpies off of one of their kids.
I don't know.
Does that make sense?
I don't know what's going on.
You can hear magpies yammering and hammering too. And I've seen magpies go after nestlings.
I'm going to look on the ground. I'm wondering if they're...
Just be careful, okay?
Well, they might
You got your
dive bomb me.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay, you keep talking about Salminio.
I was thinking of going out there, but I don't have glasses on.
Yeah.
Be afraid they'd go after my eyes. Anyway, this is a pretty good movie. You know, the acting, understand most acting in movies nowadays, where it's a serious sort of thing, is way better than the acting back around 1960, it's 59. It was almost unwatchable. The main female lead, she's awful acting. Yeah. Salminio, or whatever his name is, did a pretty good job. James Darren, whatever his name was, not James Dean, James Darren, I thought did an okay job. He actually did a little bit of singing. It wasn't bad, stuff like that. I think he was lip syncing, playing the trumpet or whatever he was supposed to play. The thing that really impressed me about Salminio is the drums apparently were actually done by Gene Krupa. But Salminio was like doing the equivalent. He was doing air drums to the drum solos. Wow, it looked almost like he was playing it. They must have really choreographed the parts. Maybe they sped them up. I don't know what it was. Anyway, pretty impressive. Yeah, a fairly good story. So, you know, I'd rather. This was much better than, let's say, the Buddy Holly story with that stupid twit, whatever his name was. Last time I heard, he was going to do. He was doing Turkish propaganda. He's playing a bad American or something like that. You know, like, I don't care how hard up you are, you don't do propaganda for bumheads like the Turks, okay? I'm not talking about every Turk. I'm talking about the Turkish government, and I don't care if it's the government, the nationalist kind of government that was in power roughly from 1918 to roughly 2003 or something like that. Of course, the folks in power now, they're fundamentalists, and they're absolute brutes. They were the people that were keeping ISIS going for so long, and stuff like that. They were single-handedly, bloody-handedly doing that. I remember when they took power, there were all sorts of nifty, shifty, hefty lefties going, good, now the fundamentalists in power in Turkey, And now we'll see how enlightened and wonderful soft fundamentalism is. And I said, yeah, we'll see. We're going to see it in color. And we're going to be seeing it in red. Blood red. How much time?
Oh, 10 minutes. But I didn't find any hatchlings down there or anything like that.
Okay, so you went right underneath there.
I looked everywhere down there. I didn't go looking through.
No. It's just freaky.
I don't know what's going on.
They might be trying to get at some magpie stuff and scare the magpies. Now the magpies they're not nestlings anymore. They're not even fledglings. They've got the short tails. You've seen the short-tailed magpies. I don't know.
But the good thing is, if the hawks stay around, then we'll be able to, eventually we'll get a good look at them.
And then you'll be able
and then we'll be able to identify.
Yeah. So if you like music, and it's pretty good music. I gotta say, it's kind of like swing stuff. I'm not a big fan of jazz, like especially bebop and junk like that, like where there's a limited instrumentation. In the same way that I'm not a big fan of rock and roll where it's the same instrument. I like the Beatles, like their best stuff, like Sgt. Pepper's. They're doing a little bit of something like hard rock, it opens up hard rock, but it's kind of got an old-fashioned John Philip Sousa kind of feel in the middle of it. And then you go with a kind of like a pop song with a little help from my friends. And then you got, I think it's got some synthesizer in it, but it sounds like a folk song, but it's not really a folk song. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, is that the order it goes? So on and so forth. You've got George Harrison a little bit later on doing some stuff. I don't think the Beatles played anything. It's got some sitar music. I don't have to say anything about A Day in the Life. It's got sounds like pretty well a full orchestra in it. It starts off as like a folk song, but it sounds like a grand classical piano in it. All that sort of stuff. You've got kind of like a hard rock and good morning, but it's not really blasting your ears type of hard rock. It's just all sorts of stuff. But you get Eric Clapton, and I kind of liked Eric and the Dominoes, Layla, but it does wear a little bit. It's the same instrumentation, even though you got fantastic guitar on much of it from Duane Allman and Eric Clapton. And that's like, how much Miles Davis can you get put up with blowing the same trumpet? Trumpet's so limited. Why is trumpet considered the big instrument? It's just because Louis Armstrong played it. That's 100 years ago. Like a saxophone is much more expressive. But I prefer swing music. Where there's kind of like a full, such as it is, jazz orchestra, where you get all sorts of different instrumentation. Why do I want to listen to a three-piece? Like drums and bass and someone blatting around on a trumpet. On and on and on and on. Why would I? I mean, it's worse than rock and roll, like with three instruments, because you can get much more stuff out of a guitar. Just compare Jimi Hendrix with Miles Davis. You can play some chords in there if you want, or whatever. I guess you can kind of bend notes with a trumpet, but Jesus, God. The main reason why I prefer, I was mentioning religion. Like, I was raised on words with music. And even without instrumental music. I do like instruments, backing music, but for Pete's sake, I'm not a big fan of absolute music. I'm not a big fan of absolute art. Like, I'm not going to worry about it. That's kind of like ignorant, like to have to throw in pictures of reality. 3 dimensions on a 2-dimensional form. I'm just going to put it in 2 dimensions. I'm Jackson Pollock, and I'm so much more talented and smarter than those people who do 3-dimensional things. Get lost. So,
I think they're peach on the underside.
Peach color.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
if
you're
that
trying
helps.
to identify what they are.
Well,
Yeah.
they're huge.
They are huge. There's no doubt about it. I don't think they're eagles, but eagles are amazing. Remember that sick one that we saw up at Eagle Bay?
Was it sick? Oh, it had a broken wing, I think.
I couldn't see any sign of it being busted up, but it could have been. It couldn't fly. Is the impression I got, because we got up close and too personal for its taste. It's not that we were inquisitive. We were just checking out a lot there. We had to go by it. Anyway,
so was the Gene Krupa story an interesting story?
It's interesting enough. You know what I'm saying? If you like that music kind of stuff, go for it. If you don't like music, don't bother. Because, the acting's generally not good enough to be interesting. For that. Just in and of itself. So go for it, folks. If you're that inclined. That way inclined.
Anything else to talk about? You have 2 minutes.
I'm hungry! So I'm going to go for the food.
Okay.